evening. Welcome to the Oxford Board of Selectmen's meeting, June 7th, 2022. Before I start the meeting, I need to read this following statement. In accordance with Mass General Law 30A, Section 20, I am advising all those in attendance this evening that this meeting is being recorded by the Town of Oxford. In addition to the Town of Oxford, Mr. Casey Fleming of 59 Quabog Ave is recording the meeting this evening. I'd like to start off by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we have several things on the agenda tonight. We have a number of permits that we need to issue. That'll be followed by town manager's report, and then selectmen community announcements, and then we'll adjourn. All right, first thing on the Oxford American Legion Post 58 requests for an outdoor business permit for a yard sale. The Board of Selectmen is in receipt of an application from the Oxford Legion Post 58 requesting approval of an outdoor business permit to hold a yard sale, where they will charge for participation. And the reason for the permit is so that they are able to sell spaces at the yard sale to anyone that wants to participate. So, I make a motion that the board approve the outdoor business permit for the Oxford American Legion Post 58 for the purpose of holding a multi-vendor yard permit June 11th at 227 Main Street, and to waive the fee pursuant to Board of Policy number 602. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I will call for the vote. Amy?
Yes.
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 Let the record show 4 in affirmative, none negative, 1 absent. Thank you. Next item, Lynn Jalbert for Oxford Girl Scouts requests to use the Joslin Park Bandstand bridging ceremony. The Board of Selectmen office is in receipt of an applicant from Lynn Jalbert on behalf of the Oxford Girl Scouts to use Joslin Park Bandstand on June 15th, 2022, from 4 to 9 p.m. to hold a town-wide bridging ceremony. So I make a motion that the board approve the request from Lynn Jalbert for the Oxford Girl Scouts to use the Joslin Park Bandstand for the purpose of holding a bridging ceremony on June 15th, 2022, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm looking for a second, please.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I will call for the vote. Amy?
Yes.
Amy? Robert?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Let the motion, let it show that 4 in affirmative, 1 absent. Permit granted. Next one, St. Anne's Church request for an outdoor business permit community vendor fair. The Board of Selectmen is in receipt of an application for outdoor business permit from St. Anne's Church to hold a community vendor fair on the church lawn on June 25th, 2022, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I make a motion that the board approve the outdoor business permit for St. Anne's Church for the purpose of holding a community vendor fair at 652 Main Street on June 25th, 2022, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and to waive the fee pursuant to board's policy number 602. I am looking for a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Amy?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And Tim?
Yes.
Let the record show 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent. Thank you very much. Next one, the First Congregational Church of Oxford requests for an outdoor business permit flea market. The Board of Selectmen's office is in receipt of an application for an outdoor business permit from the First Congregational Church of Oxford for the purpose of holding a flea market on August 6th and again on October 1st. I make a motion that the board approve the outdoor business permit for First Congregational Church for the purpose of holding a flea market at 355 Main Street on August 6th and October 1st, and waive the fee pursuant to the board policy number 602. I'm looking for a second, please.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and second. Amy?
Yes.
Vote. Robert?
Yes.
And Tim?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let the motion, let it show that in 4 affirmative and 1 absent. Okay. Well, thank you for getting through that very quickly. You might set a record here tonight, I don't know. Next will be town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and through you to the board and to the public. This evening, I have a couple different announcements. The first one is a very exciting announcement. One of the things that the DPW director and I have made a priority, of course, along with many people in town, is the notion of improving our pedestrian safety and improving our roadways downtown. One of the ways that we can do that, obviously, is through local appropriations, which we know we always never have enough money. But we also have been very diligent. The previous fiscal year cycle, we were able to get not just $400,000, but another additional $100,000 to improve public safety on Main Street. In the process of applying to the Shared Streets program, we did not know if we would be successful again this year. And we have just been announced to us through the Mass Department of Transportation that our grant proposal for the upcoming fiscal year, which has just started, for the Shared Streets and Spaces actually has been approved in the amount of $198,000 to make improvements to the Church Street sidewalk construction and traffic calming measures. And this is actually very good news because it is in keeping with the effort to make long overdue pedestrian improvements and to also make improvements to areas that are proximal to where there are a lot of pedestrian and public activity. Everyone who may live in town might be familiar with Church Street, but not everybody. It's close to several ball and playing fields, basketball courts, Treasureland Playground, Jocelyn Park from across Main Street, and OCC. So that has a lot of church-related events, which are affiliated also with the church next to it. So it's a really strong proposal, but we just didn't think that they would acknowledge us for a second year in a row. It doesn't always work like that for the state. So I want to express my deep gratitude to our DPW director for making this a priority again. As you know, we're working on our Complete Streets also. That's done through an actual grant. And this was another item that was ranking high, so we threw in the grant application, and we'll be working on that and meeting with the local residents in that area and some of the stakeholders for, obviously, the playground and OCC and things like that as we look to making some kind of design. Everything is just preliminary. We do the concepts with the state, so we don't have the actual final plans, but we'll work on that to make that happen. The next item is planning and development. I wanted to make sure the board knew that as part of ongoing management goals, our Director for Planning and Economic Development, Tony Sousa, and I have worked recently on another important technical planning assistance grant proposal. We were seeking, once again this year, we applied the previous year and did not receive funding, but we're seeking funding to support the hiring of a consultant to help us create a 5-year housing production plan, or HPP, which would be Oxford's first one. Just to remind people who may not have been involved with that effort, obviously it's a management effort to try to bring technical assistance through a consultant that can help us realize this plan. In absence of that, the town has been very proactive. In the last 3.5 years, we have passed a housing opportunity overlay zoning district, which is a zoning bylaw that sets the stage to create additional multifamily housing opportunities in key areas of the town. And in 2021, we also at town meeting approved a new cluster bylaw, which allows some flexibility to the planning board to be able to help in the permitting of proposed housing developments. So the HPP itself, if we were to get the money, will afford Oxford the ability to identify some new opportunities and to partner with developers and work proactively to reach our 10% state mandated affordable housing requirement. Right now, we're still only at 7.3, and so we'll keep our fingers crossed for this. We're in the preliminary stages, and if we do receive the money, obviously there are a number of things that would happen. We'll have Tony come before and express to the board and also the public. There'll be a number of things that we would be including in that whole process. And I would say that when we get to that point, it'll be exciting. And hopefully a consultant can help us move through that. It's probably a lengthy process of probably upwards of a year. Typically they are. They do community surveying. They work with us to look at mapping, and all of that. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. It sounds to me like the state is trying to move through the governor's direction some federal money that has been pouring in at the state level, and perhaps give us some leeway or better chances at grants like this that weren't existing last year. So that's why I say fingers crossed. Next item is the open
Well, I'm
space.
sorry, through the chair, Madam Town Manager, would it be possible for the board members to be provided with a copy of the application? Because I'm very interested to see, what specifically we'll be able to get funding for.
You can ask that through me when you want.
I just did.
Well, you asked her.
I asked through the chair.
I can get you that information.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, it's an electronic copy that gets embargoed through the state when we initially put it in, and so then we wait to be registered and then receive it. So I actually don't have the final copy. I have the letter I provided you that I put in. So I think, I would want Mr. Sousa to be able to articulate what's in that grant application. Obviously, we're very parochial about that because it's all our mind power that goes into that. There's a lot of competition for these grants out there, and the last thing you want to do is have your competitors take those kinds of notions that are important that we think are very sellable. But there is always grant competition, and so, but we will provide it for you in due time. That'll be good.
Thank you, Jim.
Open space and recreation plan update. I wanted to also let the board know that we had another grant that we had applied for and received, a $30,000 planning assistance grant from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. I wanted the board to know that we are going to be contracting with the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. They had helped us with the previous one. This is an update, but when I arrived here in 2018, I went to the shelf and saw we had an open space recreation plan, and I was so excited. And then I looked at the date from when it was made, from 2007 to 2017, and I already knew, based on my own previous experience with applying and being successful and getting grants through the open space recreation planning process, that we were going to be turned down for most of the state funding. You can't apply until you actually have a actual proposal and plan that has been adopted and approved by the state. So even though we've applied for grants, that there are a lot for conservation and recreation that we're not eligible. So I've made it a management directive from the beginning to try to make money some way to get the ability to have this technical assistance. So we did get this planning assistance grant. The new plan will cover a 7-year period. They lessened it from 10 to 7. And it actually serves as a blueprint for ensuring that the current and future residents will have ample opportunity for recreation and access to open space. It's not so dissimilar to our master plan. The Central Mass Regional Planning will work. They'll be conducting visioning sessions. They'll implement a community-wide survey. They'll develop goals, and they'll also develop an inventory and update our maps for potential conservation, recreation properties and programs. In this program, for the grant awarding, we are required to do a 25% match, and obviously our director for Planning and Economic Development will be instrumental as just staff, and that becomes our 25% match. So that's how that will work. But it's very exciting to at least have awarded the indication to Central Mass that we're going to do this, and we'll be getting, fast with that this coming year. The next item is to let this board know, even though I've worked with the previous boards on marijuana host agreements for both retail and medicinal establishments, our Planning and Economic Development Director, with guidance from my office, put together an RFI because we had an additional license that we could award for retail. And because the initial host agreement given to a company, they had trouble with the transaction of the property they were hoping for and the funding related to that transaction. So that fell through. So we thought it would be good to put notice back out to see if there are any companies that would still be interested in our potential retail license. We have 2. We've only got 1 that's filled. As a result of a very well thought through RFI, we allowed cannabis business developers to have until May to actually submit proposals. So I wanted to let the board know as of the end of May, and after we had closed the date for acceptance, we have 6 applicants or 6 proposals that were forwarded to us. I'm just going to put them in alphabetical order. There's no priority to that, just to give the public a little indication of what we have so far. The applicants are 250 Main Street LLC, which is an Oxford-based company. Katy Brook Cannabis, which is a Southbridge-based company. Diesel Cannabis, which is a Charlton-based company. FDM Cannabis, which is a Blackstone company. Legal Greens, which is a Brockton company. And Procure Development LLC, which is a Dudley company. What our notion has been all along, and knowing that we might be coming up on some transitions with different boards and appointments and elections, the staff, when we had come up with this proposal and gave it to the previous board, was that we would review the proposals with staff, and in order to facilitate the proposal review, we would request an appointment of a board member from the Selectmen to our review group. So we have professional people who are looking at a lot of different things to help frame what we might consider to recommend, the top 1 or 2, or maybe even 3 out of the 6 to come before the Board of Selectmen, and then the Board of Selectmen would consider awarding or directing the manager to do a host agreement with one of those companies. So what we're hoping to do is put all of that information together, forward several companies to the board, and so we'd like at the next meeting for people to consider appointment to that review committee. The next item is ribbon cutting. We have the new Oxford's disc golf course at Rural Field, which has recently been completed, and much to the hard work of our DPW crews. This was an initiative for a new recreation sponsored territory at Rural Field. We had a member of even our DPW staff who's a real avid disc golf player, and had said that even though we have a Hodges Dam disc golf, it's not necessarily really family focused. So we had put together a proposal, not me, but the gentleman from the DPW put together a proposal to the Smolensky Millet. It got funded through the Charitable Trust, and now we are going to, even though people have been out there, going to have a ribbon cutting. We were going to have it Thursday at 2 p.m., and I wanted to invite board members to come and check it out. However, it's supposed to rain a lot, so Jared, DPW director, asked if we could change it to Friday initially to do the grand opening. So we're going to do it at Friday at 11 a.m. So that people don't get soaked and have the ability to walk through the course. And
We
like I
have to
said,
throw a Frisbee?
we might have to, and we've been working in the past. Events would just happen, not necessarily with the blessing of the town, and what we're trying to do, not just for businesses but also for key events. Trees for Trees, the fishing derby, all of those things. Now that we have a full-time media production coordinator who's making sure we film a lot of that, they're wonderful, and I'd express to everyone to go onto YouTube to see some of those, including the recent Memorial Day parade. So this will be another one of those things that we'll be trying to capture and highlight. The next is to let you know that I have a couple of senior center announcements that our director, Laura Wilson, has asked me to indicate at this meeting. And the big one was that they have been awarded a Taft Charitable Trust grant that they had applied for in the amount of $5,000. This grant is really for support of our culinary services and our fantastic lunch program, which is sold out every single week. That is not necessarily true of a lot of senior centers, and average somewhere between 70 and 75 lunches. So we know that we have a really great brand right now, and we want to keep it that way, and also the support to the meal program will help them diversify their menu even more. So everything is home cooked, and Deb, Laura, and Cindy are doing a great job, and so I wanted to publicly congratulate them on what they consider to be a significant accomplishment of $5,000 for that program. She also asked me to indicate to seniors all across the town that we have a very important public meeting that will be open to all seniors called the Let's Make a Plan Senior Preparedness Event. It's being hosted by the Worcester Regional Medical Reserve Corps, and they are going to come in on Thursday, June 23rd at 11 o'clock, around lunchtime. They are going to work with seniors to actually walk them through how to actually put together a preparedness plan. with executed steps so that they know exactly what they have to do in the event of anything from a natural disaster to a pandemic to a number of things. So anybody that wants to go, we just ask you to call the senior center at 987-6000. But we will be also advertising it out here on the board. We'd like to get as many seniors as possible to do this, and lunch will be served at that event. Another great announcement is we're having Carbuncle Opening Day, and for those people who've been through the pandemic, it was not easy to not be able to open Carbuncle Beach and the splash pad on a number of occasions. So we're really joyous this year that we'll be able to have Saturday, June 18th, from 11 to 5 p.m. The beach and the splash pad will be open to the public. It will be free. There'll be many activities planned between 11 and 1. Tony's Island Hot Dog will be there, and people can sign up for the OCC summer program. I have said in my former manager reports that they are expanding to much longer programs during the day, so it's not necessarily just a part-time. So parents should take note of that. They'll be able to sign up that day and also get their passes to the beach and splash pad. We wish them good weather on the June 18th. Summer concert series. This is another really important thing. We have completely morphed our planning and cultural social development and joined it with the OCC responsibilities of the director there. Shelley Lambert has done a bang-up job. Anybody who, and I put in your packets here to see the summer concert schedule, is something we haven't had in years. 14 booked concerts, Sundays, Thursdays, and even a few Saturdays. I want to thank both Shelley Lambert and also Stacy White for working on all those aspects to create some great concerts. On June 30th, Thursday, is the first concert by Grade A Fancy that will start at 5 o'clock and go to 7 o'clock. There are 3 organizations that they worked with closely. One is the Oxford Cultural Council, one is the Oxford Council on Aging, who are sponsoring a concert, and the last one that I would say, and I'd probably be remiss to say, would be the Women's Club, who sponsored, I think, 2 concerts last year. So working together, we're going to provide all the way through September some great concerts for people to attend. The next item is just to let people know that the Barton Center for Diabetes Education, which is located right here in Oxford, that the town has a very close working relationship with, is going to be the beneficiary of the 7th annual Hotheads Car Show up at Singletary Rod and Gun Club. And that will take place on June 12th, which is a Sunday, and it's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Anybody who has a great looking car should enter into it, because the proceeds are going to go to providing summer camp programs for hundreds. It's literally hundreds of kids who have type 1 diabetes. We're a very unique community in that we have this actual center, and it's world-renowned, and they do work closely with our EMS and our public health nurses. And DJ Dick Salvis will be there providing entertainment. So I want to encourage the public to support another community event, albeit it's not our event, but it is something that puts Oxford on the map. And that would conclude my manager's report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Jen, thank you very much. Selectmen's community announcement. Amy, do you have anything?
I have nothing.
Robert, do you have anything?
Yes, I'd like to take the moment to thank all the people who came out to vote for me. I appreciate the support, and hopefully I prove to have been worth all your efforts. I'd also like to call out the effort of Matt Rosebrooks and Troop 147 and the Oxford Business Association for the great work that they're doing in the park down in Sutton Ave. It's great to see different groups of people in the community working together to do something positive. And that's what we should all hope for. And it's there's not always a lot of good news with things that are going on nationally, but it's great to see people working together like that to do something good for the community. And I look forward to when it's completed. The last thing I would like to say is I'm announcing that at our next meeting I'm going to bring up discussion for public comment, since that matter needs to be followed through, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Public comment for what?
This is related to the article that passed the town meeting, so public comment inside the Board of Selectmen meetings.
Okay. Tim?
No.
And I don't have anything. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
Oh, I
I
need the
will make
motion.
that motion.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. Call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.